Hi, my name is Nathalie Boudreau. I'm a musician here in Canada. For this week's assignment, I'm supposed to demonstrate how to configure the EQ on a plugin in my DAW, in this case REAPER, so that it more or less functions like the EQ console on a large format mixing board. So for your viewing pleasure and reference, I've put a graphic here on the left representing a typical EQ console on a mixing board, and that's what we're going to try to imitate. And then when we're done, I'm going to save it as a preset. That way I can access it more conveniently in the future. So to get started, I'm going to open my effects window. I'm going to flip through the list for EQs and choosing the REAQ plugin. The title of the track you're working in will be written across the top, and in the middle you've got these numbered tabs which represent the bands that you are going to add, and each band has a node on this graphic visual representation here in the middle. So the first thing I'm going to look at here is this high pass. I can see here they've set theirs to 75 Hertz, and I am going to do the same. So on tab 1, I'm going to go to the drop-down menu right below that, and I'm going to choose high pass. And then I'm going to set the frequency at 75 Hertz. There's a few ways to do that. One, I could take the node that represents this band and just shift it back and forth until I hit 75. Or I could move the slider back and forth. Or a heck of a lot more easily, I can just type in 75 and we're done. At this point, I should take note that on our console example here, we've got low frequency manipulations happening on the bottom, and we gradually climb up to higher frequency manipulations on the top. So again, I'm going to try to mimic this layout on my plugin. So starting at the bottom, the lower frequencies, we have what we call a low shelf. And so I'm going to set my second band here as a low shelf. And there's actually an option that says low shelf. But you'll notice that this example I'm copying has a frequency set at 80. So I'm going to do the same here, and I'll skip those other clumsy ways and just type in 80 for everybody's sake. Moving on up the totem pole here, we start to get into our parametric filters. In this case, that would be the low mids and the high mids. So hitting tab 3, you'll notice there isn't parametric option here, but actually band is what refers to parametric in this particular plugin. Now the frequency range of the parametric EQs, the low one here, was 100 to 2000. So that's roughly from here-ish to here-ish, if you can follow my slider and the little red dot on the screen. If I set its starting point somewhere in the middle of the range I'm looking at, it's going to make it easier to use in the future. Similarly, tab 4 is my high mids, so that's also parametric or band or bell, and the frequency range in this case 400 to 8000. I'm going to set it somewhere in the middle of that. I can manipulate the gain of boosting or attenuating the frequency range here, and I'll leave it boosted to demonstrate the next tab down, the bandwidth, which will help me to broaden or narrow the bandwidth. Another handy feature to notice is this enabled box. For any band that your track won't be using, you could always disable it selectively by checking off that box. Now the clever ones amongst you probably have already figured out we've run out of tabs by now, but with this particular plugin, all you have to do is go to the lower left corner and add band, and you can actually add and remove as many as you want. So tab number 5 is going to be our high shelf, and I'm going to set the frequency to 12,000 or 12 kilohertz. You'll notice, of course, that the gain can also be adjusted for varying effect on the shelf filters. Now, in order to keep me from having to do this every single time I want it, I can save it as a preset. So to do that, I go up to the plus sign and hit Save Preset. It's pretty basic. And I'm going to call it basic, not typing well today, basic board EQ, and hit OK, and there you go. Now every time I open the REAQ effects, it's going to have basic board EQ listed amongst the other presets, and when I hit it, I get this general setup. And to take that one step further, hit the plus sign one more time, and I'm actually going to save it as my default. So that's all there is to it. A very convenient way to have a preset EQ plugin at your fingertips for any future projects. I hope somebody out there found this helpful, and have a great day.